Week 7, Day 28 of the Oklahoma Opioid Trial. Reporting for the Oklahoman outside the Cleveland County Courthouse, I'm Dave Morris. And inside the Cleveland County Courthouse today, Judge Thad Balkman had the decision to make of whether this trial will continue or not. And the answer is the trial will continue.
With regards to the defendant's motion for judgment, when taking in consideration the evidence that was presented by the state during its case in chief, reviewing the briefs that were filed, and hearing the oral arguments, I've determined that there is sufficient evidence of the state's nuisance claim against the Jansen defendants to deny the defendant's motion for judgment. The motion is denied and the trial will proceed with the defendants resuming their case in chief. The defendants may call their next witness.
It was a morning session dedicated to a motion filed last week by the defendants, that's Johnson & Johnson Pharmaceuticals. They had asked Judge Balkman to issue a judgment in its favor without hearing any more testimony. These motions are made at the midpoint of a civil trial. They're often routinely rejected with little discussion, and that's what happened earlier this morning. The judge had set aside 2 hours to hear the request, though. Stephen Brody argued for Johnson & Johnson's side, followed by Brad Beckworth for the state, and then a short response by the defendants. Judge Balkman issued his ruling after a quick break, and then on to video testimony from the defense.
That ice cream causes homicides. This company is literally comparing the opioid epidemic to ice cream sales. So I guess hydrocodone and fentanyl and oxycodone are the ice cream, and I guess the opioid crisis is the summer. So, you know, I took my daughter and a friend out who's here today out for dinner last night. We walked over to the Bear afterwards, and I walked in there and I thought, you know, that's pretty interesting. They got waffle cones. And I thought how offensive it was that this is Johnson & Johnson's legal position in this case, comparing the oversupply of opioids and the thousands and thousands of deaths we have in this state, and indeed this country, to ice cream in the summer. I wonder if Johnson & Johnson at their 4th of July parties back on the East Coast took opioids and ice cream cones and handed it out to all their friends and family. I wonder if Johnson & Johnson will post that on the website. That's the company, right? Ice cream sales in the summer. That's what we're talking about. That's how minimally they think about this case and the tragedy that we have.
We did hear an effort in response to the concern that the state's claim here is preempted, and in response to the question the court, Your Honor asked me about the significance of the Supreme Court's Merck decision, an effort to create a divide between what has been challenged here explicitly as the conduct from Janssen, promotional conduct supposedly contributing to a rise in the use of opioids in the state of Oklahoma, and the FDA-approved indication. But there is no daylight, and the record affords no conclusion that there is any daylight between the challenge conduct and between that FDA-approved indication. And the FDA's 2012 response to the prop petition makes it abundantly clear that that doesn't exist, that what is being challenged here is specifically what the FDA rejected in response to PROP's request that the indication be narrowed, to the promotion of long-term opioids for cancer pain and end-of-life palliative care.
Here are the background, the details of this trial. The state of Oklahoma is asking the judge to hold Johnson & Johnson and its subsidiaries accountable for an opioid epidemic. It's killed close to 7,000 Oklahomans. The state wants the judge to order the drug maker to pay more than $17.5 billion to abate a public nuisance. Johnson & Johnson contends it actually was an afterthought in a case built for much of the past 2 years against Purdue Pharma and its flagship product, OxyContin. The state settled with Purdue Pharma before the trial for $270 million and with generic drug maker Teva Pharmaceuticals for $85 million. So the trial will continue with more witnesses called by the defense. 6 witnesses have been called by the defense so far. And again, video testimony on that 7th witness takes us into the afternoon session here on this Monday. The defense could rest its case this week. Closing arguments could be heard as early as later this week or next week. The judge had originally set a deadline of this trial for July 26. You can watch Every Day live on Oklahoman.com. Randy Ellis is in the courtroom providing additional coverage that you can find online at Oklahoman.com and Every Day in the Oklahoman. And reporting for the Oklahoman in Norman, Oklahoma, I'm Dave Morris.